There comes a moment in every journey when the seeking quiets and something else begins. Not because you've found all the answers, but because you've finally stopped running from the question of meaning, the question of who you are, not when the world is watching, but when you are alone with yourself, without applause, without performance, without masks. In this final part of our journey, I want to bring you not to a conclusion, but to a beginning. Because meaning is not something we discover once and carry with us unchanged forever. It is something we must return to again and again, like a well in the desert, like breath. The mistake we often make is believing that once we find meaning, life will become easy, that the presence of purpose will erase the presence of pain. But the truth is more nuanced and more beautiful. Meaning does not remove suffering. It transforms it. It doesn't make you immune to sorrow. It makes sorrow sacred. It doesn't protect you from loss. It gives your loss a place in your story. That is what I've come to understand. That the goal is not to be untouched by life, but to be touched deeply and still choose to live with an open heart. To hurt and still choose to heal. To be wounded and still choose to grow. This is the meaning of strength. Not the absence of pain, but the refusal to let pain close you off from truth. Because when we shut ourselves off from suffering, we also close the door to empathy, to depth. It is only in allowing life to reach us that we become fully alive. I have come to believe that life's most profound answer does not arrive in the form of certainty, but in the quiet strength to continue asking the right questions. Not, what do I want from life? But, what does life want from me? Not, how can I avoid pain? But, how can I turn this pain into purpose? Not, what must I achieve to matter? But how can I love more truthfully, live more honestly, and serve something beyond myself? These are not the questions that fill magazines or echo across social media. They are not quick or easy. They are the kind that humble us, that unravel the false scaffolding we've built around our identities, that burn through pretense and leave only what is real. And that is the beginning of wisdom. If you are listening now, if you've walked with me through the pain, the confusion, the quiet rediscovery of meaning, then you are already changing. Because meaning does not require that you become someone else. It requires that you remember who you are beneath everything you've been told to be. You are not a number, you are not a title, you are not a set of metrics or a sum of mistakes. You are a living question, a soul in search of resonance, a heart capable of breaking and still choosing to love again. And in that you are already extraordinary. So much of our suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from what we believe those things mean. We are hurt not only by pain, but by the interpretation we give that pain. This should not have happened. This means I'm not enough. This is proof that I am unworthy of love, of joy, of peace. But what if suffering does not speak those truths at all? What if pain is not the voice of judgment, but the beginning of a deeper invitation? When I lost everything I thought made up life, I realized something astonishing. Meaning does not depend on our circumstances. It depends on our perspective. What you are going through does not define you. How you walk through it, that is where your power lives. When the world crumbles, you are given the rare chance to ask, who am I when all else is stripped away? And in that question, the most sacred of answers is whispered. I am free. Free to choose. Free to respond. Free to grow. Free to rise. You may be surrounded by limitations, but inside you, the horizon is wide open. So stop waiting for the world to validate your path. Stop measuring your value by productivity or popularity. Start asking, what do I stand for? What breaks my heart open in a way that makes me more human? What do I care about so deeply I'm willing to suffer for it, not as punishment but as purpose? That is where meaning begins. In the space where pain becomes sacred, where effort becomes offering, and where presence becomes prayer. When we show up for our lives not to control the outcome, but to inhabit the moment fully, we begin to live with a different rhythm. One not dictated by fear or the frantic need to prove ourselves, but by love, by truth, by meaning. You don't have to move mountains to be living meaningfully. Sometimes choosing to stay present in the face of pain is more heroic than any grand gesture. Sometimes forgiving someone who will never say sorry is a greater act of strength than revenge. Meaning is subtle. It lives in tone, in intention, in the quiet pauses between words. It lives in how you treat others when no one is watching, and how you treat yourself when you're the one suffering. I have come to believe that love is the highest form of meaning. Not love as sentiment, but love as choice, as orientation, as decision. The decision to remain open, even when it hurts. The decision to care when it would be easier to numb. The decision to give without the guarantee of return. In that space, you become fully human. And in being fully human, you glimpse the eternal. There is a sacredness in vulnerability that many fail to see. We often equate vulnerability with weakness, but I have come to understand it as the wellspring of courage, the courage to be seen, to be known, and to face the truths we hide from ourselves. To live meaningfully is to embrace this vulnerability with open arms, to welcome the full spectrum of human experience, the joy, the sorrow, the fear, and the hope, as integral parts of our journey. I have witnessed this in the darkest of places, where prisoners of unimaginable suffering found within themselves a light that no external force could extinguish. That light was not denial of pain, but a conscious choice to find meaning despite it. This choice is the essence of freedom. It is freedom not from circumstance, but freedom from being defined by circumstance. Freedom is the ability to say, "This is what is happening to me, but it will not decide who I am." When we claim this freedom, we reclaim our humanity. Yet, this is not a path without challenges. The world is relentless in its demands for conformity, for comfort, for superficial success. It whispers that meaning can be bought, that happiness is a product, that validation lies in approval. But these whispers are lies. True meaning requires effort. It demands sacrifice. It asks us to lean into discomfort rather than run away. It asks us to see suffering not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Each trial, each heartbreak, each failure carries within it the seed of a deeper understanding. When we nurture that seed, we grow, we transform. You are not here to live a life dictated by fear or expectation. You are here to live a life that only you can live. No one else can bear your unique burdens, nor can they walk your unique path. Your life is a question only you can answer. And that question is not about achievement or status. It is about meaning. So I invite you now, with all the tenderness and honesty I can offer, to look inward and ask yourself, what meaning am I chasing? Is it truly mine or borrowed from others? Am I running towards something authentic or running away from myself? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary. Because when you begin to answer them with clarity and courage, you step into a new kind of freedom. A freedom that does not depend on circumstances, but on choice. A freedom that makes you whole. And in that wholeness, you find peace. Not a peace born of avoidance, but a peace born of acceptance and purpose. This is the meaning I have lived and taught. That even in the face of suffering, even when life seems unbearable, meaning is always possible. And with meaning, so too is hope. Hope is not a naive optimism. It is not the empty promise that things will magically get better. No, hope is something far more profound. It is a decision to see beyond the immediate pain, to trust in the potential of tomorrow, even when tomorrow feels impossibly distant. It is the quiet voice that whispers in the darkest moments, "This too shall pass." But hope requires action. It requires engagement. It is not a passive waiting, but an active reaching toward what is meaningful. I remember those who faced unimaginable horrors, who could have surrendered to despair, yet chose hope. They chose to find purpose in the smallest of acts. A kind word, a shared smile, a moment of kindness in a world that had lost its compassion. These moments became their anchors, and so can you. You are never too broken to begin again. You are never too lost to find your way. Meaning calls to you in every breath, every step, every encounter. It is not hidden away in some distant future. It is here now, waiting to be claimed. But claiming it demands courage. The courage to face your shadows, to confront your doubts, to live authentically in a world that often rewards conformity. This is the paradox of meaning. It is both intensely personal and profoundly universal. Each person's path is unique, but the quest itself unites us all. We are bound by the shared experience of searching for something that transcends pain and suffering. And in this shared search, we find connection. To live a meaningful life is to recognize that we are not alone in our struggles. Others have walked before us, others walk alongside us, and others will follow. Our meaning then is not just for ourselves. It is a gift to the world. By choosing to live with purpose, to endure with grace, to love without condition, we light a path for others. And in lighting this path, we illuminate our own. There is a moment when you realize that the search for meaning is not a destination, but a lifelong journey. It is not something you find once and hold forever, but something you create and recreate with each choice you make. Every day, every decision, every interaction is an opportunity to weave meaning into the fabric of your life. This realization frees you from the impossible burden of perfection. You no longer need to have all the answers or reach some unreachable ideal. Instead, you are invited to embrace your humanity fully, with all its flaws, contradictions, and vulnerabilities. You begin to see that your failures are not the end of your story, but crucial chapters in your narrative. They teach you resilience, humility, and compassion. They remind you that growth often requires breaking down before building anew. In this way, your suffering becomes a teacher. It guides you toward a deeper understanding of yourself and your place in the world. It opens your heart to empathy and connection, allowing you to meet others with kindness and authenticity. Meaning is found not in the absence of pain, but in the presence of purpose. It is the light that shines through the cracks of our brokenness, illuminating a path forward. I invite you now to consider, what meaning are you ready to create today? What small step can you take to live more fully into your truth? What act of courage can you commit to, even when fear whispers otherwise? Remember, meaning is not something given to you. It is something you claim. It is the responsibility and the privilege of your existence. And as you claim it, you become not just a survivor but a creator, not just a witness but a participant, not just a seeker but a bearer of light. This is the power that lies within you. This is the legacy you are called to live. As I stand here speaking to you, imagine for a moment the weight of every choice you've ever made, the roads taken and those left behind. Every decision, no matter how small, has shaped the person you are today. And that person, imperfect and beautiful, holds within them the power to redefine meaning itself. You are not bound by your past mistakes or your current circumstances. You carry the freedom to reinterpret your story, to rewrite the narrative with compassion and courage. There is a subtle, sacred power in acceptance. The acceptance of what is, without resignation. It is the open hand that receives reality fully, allowing transformation to take root. Acceptance does not mean passivity. It means clarity. It means seeing things as they are, so you can act with intention and grace. And from this clarity, purpose blooms. I have learned that purpose is not always grandiose. It is often found in simple acts of kindness, in moments of presence, in the choice to stand up when you fall. Purpose invites you to be awake, to the beauty and to the pain, to the fleeting and to the eternal. To live awake is to embrace the full spectrum of existence, knowing that within every shadow, light waits patiently. Your pain, your joy, your failures, your triumphs, they are threads woven into a tapestry only you can create. This tapestry is your life, and it is always unfinished. But here is the most profound truth. The meaning you seek is not hidden in distant lands or future achievements. It lives here now, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this very moment you are reading these words. To live with meaning is to be present. To be present is to be alive. And to be alive is the greatest gift you will ever receive. So, my friend, as we come to the close of this journey, I ask you, will you choose to live fully, to love deeply, and to find meaning not despite your struggles, but because of them? Will you step into the freedom that comes from embracing your true self with all its complexity and grace? The answer lies within you. It always has. In the quiet moments when the noise of the world fades and you are left alone with your thoughts, what do you hear? Is it fear whispering doubt? Or is it a still, small voice urging you towards your true purpose? I invite you to listen deeply, not to the cacophony of expectations, but to the rhythm of your own soul. This is where meaning is born, in the spaces between what is said and what is felt, between what is planned and what is lived. When I endured the darkest hours of my life, it was in those silent spaces that I found my refuge. Not in grand plans or fleeting distractions, but in the simple act of choosing hope. Hope is not passive. It is an act of rebellion against despair. It is the declaration that no matter how heavy the burden, the human spirit can rise. You may feel broken, you may feel lost, but you are never beyond the reach of meaning. Meaning can be found in a glance of kindness, in the laughter shared with a stranger, in the breath taken when the world feels overwhelming. It is woven into the fabric of ordinary moments. And this is the invitation I offer you, to see your life as a masterpiece in progress. To understand that every struggle, every triumph, every breath contributes to your unique story. No one else can live it for you. No one else can find the meaning that only you can discover. This is your task, your challenge, and your gift. To live deliberately, to love courageously, and to create meaning in a world that often seems indifferent. Remember, meaning is not found by avoiding suffering, but by confronting it head-on and allowing it to transform you. When you do this, you transcend the pain and become something greater than you ever imagined. You become a beacon, not just for yourself, but for others who walk their own dark paths. And in lighting their way, you illuminate your own. As you walk this path of meaning, you may encounter moments of doubt and despair. These moments are not signs of failure. They are part of the process, the shadows that make the light more vivid. Embrace them. Welcome them. They teach you resilience and deepen your understanding of life's complexities. The paradox of meaning is that it grows strongest when life feels most fragile. It is the fragile flower that blooms amidst the cracks of a broken sidewalk. It is the flame that flickers brightest in the darkest night. I have seen people find meaning in the most unimaginable circumstances, not because suffering is necessary, but because the human spirit is remarkably adaptive. We can transform pain into purpose, sorrow into strength. This transformation requires a choice, a decision to stand in the face of suffering and say, I will not be defined by this. I will define myself through it. This choice is the essence of what I call the last of human freedoms. The freedom to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. It is a freedom that no one can take from you. Even in the darkest prisons, this freedom remains. And it is through this freedom that meaning becomes possible. But meaning is not a solitary journey. It is woven through our relationships, our contributions, our connections to something greater than ourselves. Whether that something is love, creativity, spirituality, or service, it calls us to step beyond our own concerns and embrace a larger purpose. So I invite you now to consider, what is calling you beyond yourself? What gives your life depth and resonance? What are you willing to suffer for because it matters so deeply? These are not easy questions, but they are the most important ones you will ever face, because the answers hold the key to a life lived not in vain, but in profound meaning. There is a beauty in the struggle itself, a sacred dance between despair and hope, between loss and discovery. It is in this tension that our true selves emerge, like a sculpture revealed through the careful chisel of experience. I have learned that the meaning of life is not a fixed point to be found, but a horizon that moves as we walk. It invites us onward, urging us to grow, to question, to reach deeper into ourselves and the world. This pursuit is not without pain, but it is rich with possibility. When you embrace the uncertainty, the ambiguity, the contradictions within you, you become more whole. You become more alive. You learn that failure is not the end, but a necessary step on the path to growth. You learn that suffering can be a doorway rather than a prison. You learn that your story is not a burden, but a gift. And in sharing that story, you become a source of light for others who struggle. You become a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. This is the legacy I wish for you. To live courageously, to love fiercely, and to find meaning even in the darkest times. For it is through meaning that we transcend suffering. And it is through love that we transcend ourselves. So walk this path with open eyes and an open heart. Know that every step you take is sacred, and know that you are never alone. In this journey, the smallest acts can carry the greatest meaning. A smile given in genuine kindness, a moment of patience in the face of frustration, a word spoken from the heart. All are ripples that extend beyond the immediate moment. These ripples touch others, and in doing so, connect us to something greater than ourselves. Meaning is not reserved for grand gestures or monumental achievements. It is present in the everyday, the quiet, unnoticed moments that shape our character and our world. I have often found that it is in these small moments that the soul finds its deepest nourishment. When we cultivate presence and gratitude, even amid hardship, we build a sanctuary within ourselves that no external circumstance can destroy. This sanctuary is a place of refuge and renewal. It is where hope is born anew each day. And it is here that you can find the strength to face life's inevitable challenges with grace. Because life, as you know, is not without suffering. It tests us, bends us, and sometimes breaks us. Yet within that breaking, there is the potential for transformation. I invite you to consider this. What if your pain is not a barrier to meaning, but the very soil in which it grows? What if your struggles are not signs of failure, but invitations to a deeper, more authentic existence? These questions are not easy, and the answers often require time, patience, and courage. But the pursuit itself is the essence of living fully. To seek meaning is to choose life, even when life is hard. It is to affirm that your existence matters, that your story has value, and that you have the power to shape it. This is the message I offer you today. You are not failing, you are not lost. You are simply in the midst of your own profound journey toward meaning. And that journey is the most important work you will ever undertake. In the tapestry of existence, every thread, light and dark alike, contributes to the whole. Our pain, our joy, our doubts, and our hopes interweave to create the unique pattern that is our life. To deny any part of this tapestry is to deny the fullness of our humanity. I have come to see that the deepest meaning often arises not in spite of suffering, but because of it. Suffering sharpens our awareness of what truly matters. It strips away the superficial and reveals the essential. When we face suffering head-on, we open ourselves to the possibility of transformation. We learn that even in the most harrowing circumstances, we retain the power to choose our attitude, our response, and ultimately, our meaning. This choice is the cornerstone of freedom, the freedom that no external circumstance can take away. It is a freedom rooted in the depths of the human spirit, and it calls us to rise above despair, to find hope in the midst of darkness, and to live with purpose even when the path is uncertain. You may feel overwhelmed by the weight of your struggles. You may question if your efforts are enough, if your life has significance. But I assure you, meaning is not a distant prize reserved for the fortunate few. It is a constant presence, waiting to be discovered in every moment, every breath. It is found in love given without expectation, in courage shown in the face of fear, and in commitment made despite uncertainty. Your life is a question, and meaning is the answer you create. So I urge you, step into your power, embrace your journey, live your truth, because in doing so, you become a beacon of light, not only for yourself, but for all who follow. It is often said that suffering is the crucible of meaning, and this is true, not because suffering itself is desirable, but because it reveals the depths of our capacity to find purpose. When the world turns dark and hope seems distant, it is meaning that sustains us. I recall times when I was surrounded by despair, yet within me, a quiet voice reminded me that even here, even now, I could find something to hold on to. Something worth living for. That is the power of meaning. It transcends circumstance. It gives us the strength to endure, the courage to continue, and the grace to grow. Meaning is not something to be found outside ourselves, nor is it handed down from others. It is born in the choices we make, in the ways we respond to life's challenges. It is in choosing to love when love is hard, in choosing to forgive when resentment tempts us, in choosing to hope when all seems lost. These choices are the acts of a free spirit, the expression of a soul determined to live fully. You may ask, how do I find this meaning? Where does it come from? The answer lies in looking beyond yourself, beyond your pain, beyond your fears. Meaning often reveals itself when you dedicate yourself to something greater than yourself, a cause, a person, a value. When you commit to such a purpose, your suffering takes on new significance. It becomes part of a larger story, a story of growth, connection, and transcendence. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. Countless others have walked the path before you, and countless others will walk after. Your story is part of the human story, a story of resilience, hope, and meaning. So embrace your journey with courage, face each day with intention, and know that your life in all its complexity holds profound significance. In this ongoing journey of meaning, one of the greatest challenges you will face is the temptation to measure your worth by external standards, success, recognition, or material gain. Yet, these are fleeting shadows, illusions that can never truly satisfy the longing within your soul. True meaning transcends these ephemeral markers. It calls you to look inward, to recognize the inherent dignity that no circumstance can diminish. You are more than your achievements, more than your failures. You are a unique expression of existence itself, called to carve your own path in the tapestry of life. When I reflect on my own trials, I see that the most profound moments of clarity came not when I achieved something great, but when I faced loss, loneliness, and despair. It was in these crucibles that I discovered what I truly valued. The love that sustained me, the hope that lifted me, the purpose that carried me forward. You may be walking through your own crucible now. You may feel lost, broken, or overwhelmed, but I assure you, within that place lies the possibility of transformation. The power to choose your attitude, to find meaning in suffering, is a gift that no one can take away. It is a light that shines in the darkness, a compass guiding you toward your authentic self. And in choosing this light, you claim your freedom, freedom to live with purpose, freedom to love without fear, freedom to be fully yourself. This freedom is your birthright. No matter the trials you face, you can always return to this truth. I encourage you to cultivate it daily through reflection, gratitude, and mindful presence. Ask yourself, what meaning can I create today? How can I respond to my challenges with courage and grace? What small act of kindness, what moment of awareness can become a seed of transformation? In doing so, you become an artist of your own life, painting a masterpiece of resilience, hope, and meaning. And remember, this is not a solitary endeavor. Seek connection with others who walk their own paths. Share your story and listen to theirs. In community, we find strength, inspiration, and belonging. Together, we weave a web of meaning that sustains us all. Sometimes the heaviest burdens carry the most profound lessons. We might wish to avoid suffering, but it is often through suffering that we come to understand the depths of our own strength. When I faced the unimaginable, I realized that pain itself was not my enemy. Instead, it was the resistance to pain that brought the most torment. To embrace suffering does not mean to surrender to it, but to meet it with openness and courage. It means acknowledging the reality of pain, while refusing to let it dictate your identity or your destiny. There is a kind of dignity in this stance, a dignity born of acceptance and defiance in the same breath. It is the courage to say, yes, this is hard. Yes, this hurts. And yet I will find meaning here. In those moments, meaning becomes a lifeline. It anchors us amidst the storm, reminding us that even when the world feels chaotic and unjust, our inner world can be a sanctuary of purpose and peace. You might wonder how to cultivate such meaning in life. The answer lies in your daily choices, in the ways you respond to adversity, in the intentionality with which you live. Meaning is not a prize at the end of a race. It is woven through the fabric of each moment. It is found in how you treat yourself when no one else is watching. It is found in the compassion you extend to others, even when it is difficult. It is found in the quiet resilience that allows you to rise each day despite hardship. Each of these small acts is a brick in the foundation of a meaningful life. And as you build this foundation, you create a legacy, not one measured by wealth or fame, but by love, courage, and truth. This legacy is the greatest gift you can offer the world, and it is within your reach. No matter where you are now, no matter what you have endured, you can begin anew. You can choose meaning. You can choose freedom. You can choose to live full. There is a sacred power in choice. The power to decide how you respond when life's storms rage around you. It is in this decision that your true freedom lies. You may not control the winds or the waves, but you can steer your soul through them. I have witnessed this power in those who, despite unimaginable suffering, refuse to let their spirit be crushed. They found a way to say, "I am more than my pain. I am more than my circumstances." This is the essence of human dignity. To recognize that no external force can strip away your inner freedom unless you allow it. And with this recognition comes a profound responsibility. To live authentically, to seek meaning with every breath, and to extend compassion even when it is hardest. Meaning is not a destination, but a way of being. It is the lens through which you see the world and your place within it. When you view life through this lens, challenges become opportunities for growth, setbacks become lessons in resilience, and suffering becomes a path to deeper understanding. You begin to see that your story matters, not because it is perfect, but because it is yours. It is a story of struggle and triumph, loss and love, darkness and light. And in telling this story honestly, you create a bridge to others, fostering connection and empathy. This connection is itself a source of meaning. We are not meant to walk alone. Our shared humanity calls us to support one another, to listen deeply, and to bear witness to each other's journeys. In this sacred exchange, we find healing. So, I invite you now to reflect. What story are you telling yourself about your life? Is it one of limitation and despair, or one of possibility and hope? How might you begin to rewrite this story with compassion and courage? Remember, you hold the pen. Each day is a new page, and every moment is an opportunity to live with intention and meaning. As you stand at the crossroads of your existence, remember that meaning is not bestowed upon you. It is created through your engagement with life. It is forged in the fires of choice, shaped by the hands of intention and action. The question is not, why me, but what now? When faced with suffering, loss, or uncertainty, what will you do? How will you respond? This moment, right now, is your opportunity to choose. To choose meaning over despair, courage over fear, love over bitterness. It is in these choices that you reclaim your power. You become not a victim of circumstance, but a co-creator of your destiny. And this co-creation is the essence of freedom. Freedom to find purpose amid pain. Freedom to live authentically. Freedom to love without reservation. I know this freedom intimately because I have seen its transformative power in myself and others. Even in the darkest prisons, even when all seemed lost, this freedom remained, a beacon in the night. It is the gift you carry within you now. So I ask you, will you embrace it? Will you let it guide you toward a life rich with meaning and connection? The path may not be easy. It will demand courage, patience, and grace. But it is a path worth walking. Because in walking it, you become fully alive. And in becoming fully alive, you touch the eternal. When I reflect on the human spirit, I am humbled by its resilience. Time and time again, I have seen people rise from the ashes of despair to create lives of profound meaning. This resilience is not an abstract concept. It is a living, breathing force within each of us. It begins with the recognition that suffering is an inevitable part of existence. But suffering without meaning is unbearable. When we attach meaning to our pain, it transforms. It becomes a bridge to growth, to empathy, and to transcendence. This transformation is not instantaneous. It requires patience, a willingness to sit with discomfort, to face uncertainty, and to persist even when the way forward is unclear. I invite you to cultivate this patience within yourself, to trust the slow unfolding of your journey, knowing that each step, no matter how small, carries you closer to your true purpose. And as you cultivate patience, Cultivate also gratitude. Gratitude for the moments of light amidst the darkness, for the lessons learned, and for the strength you have found within. Gratitude is not a denial of pain, but an acknowledgement of the fullness of life. It is the recognition that even in hardship, there is something to be cherished. In this gratitude, meaning flourishes. And with meaning comes hope. A hope not rooted in certainty, but in possibility. This hope fuels the human spirit and propels us forward, even when the future is uncertain. So as you continue on your path, hold on to hope. Let it be the wind beneath your wings. And remember, you are not alone. We are all connected by this shared search for meaning. Together, we walk the path toward a life of purpose, courage, and love. Each day offers a new canvas on which to paint the story of your life. The colors may be dark at times, but even the darkest hues contribute to the richness of the whole. It is through contrast that beauty emerges. You are the artist of your existence. The brush is in your hand, and the choice of strokes is yours alone. When despair threatens to consume you, remember that despair is not the final word. It is a call to awaken, to rise beyond the pain and see the possibility that lies beyond. This awakening is a sacred moment. It is the moment you reclaim your freedom. Freedom to choose your attitude. Freedom to find meaning in suffering. Freedom to create a life that reflects your deepest values. I have witnessed countless souls who, despite facing unimaginable hardships, chose to live with purpose. They found meaning in love, in creativity, in service. They understood that meaning is not something to be found, but something to be made. And in making meaning, they transformed their lives. You too have this power within you. It is not dependent on circumstance or fortune. It is the unshakable core of your being. So when you find yourself lost or overwhelmed, return to this core. Ask yourself, what meaning can I create here? What purpose can I live today? In doing so, you step into your power. You become not a passive recipient of life, but an active participant. And this participation is the essence of a meaningful existence. There is a profound dignity in embracing responsibility, not as a burden, but as a privilege. To be responsible means to acknowledge that you have the power to shape your existence, no matter the circumstances. It is to stand tall in the face of adversity and declare that your life will not be defined by suffering, but by how you respond to it. Responsibility is the cornerstone of meaning. Without it, life feels aimless, empty. With it, even the smallest actions become significant, rippling outward in ways unseen but deeply felt. When I speak of responsibility, I do not mean blame or guilt. I mean the conscious choice to engage with life authentically and courageously, to accept the role you play in your own story, and to write it with intention. This is the path to freedom, the freedom to create meaning. You are invited to walk this path each day, to meet challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to affirm your values and your humanity. When you do, you become a beacon, not only for yourself, but for those around you. Your light inspires others to find their own. Meaning is contagious. It spreads through acts of courage, kindness, and love. And so, by embracing responsibility, you contribute to a world that is more compassionate and connected. This is the legacy of a life well lived, a legacy not measured by wealth or status, but by the depth of your impact on the hearts of others. There is a quiet strength that arises when we stop fighting against reality and begin to embrace it with open arms. This does not mean surrendering to despair, but rather accepting the truth of our circumstances so we can respond with clarity and courage. In accepting reality, you create space for meaning to emerge. You free yourself from the chains of resistance and open your heart to the possibilities that lie within and beyond the pain. I have seen this strength manifest in the most unlikely places, behind barbed wire fences, in the silence of empty rooms, within hearts heavy with grief. It is the strength that whispers, "I am still here. I will still choose." And that choice is the essence of life. It is the declaration that you will not be defeated by what happens to you, but rather you will be defined by how you respond. This is the ultimate act of freedom. You may not control all that happens to you, but you can always control your attitude. This freedom, this power is yours no matter the circumstance. And within it lies the seed of hope. Hope that tomorrow holds meaning. Hope that today is not the end, but a beginning. This hope sustains the human spirit. It carries us through darkness toward light. It reminds us that no suffering is wasted when met with courage and meaning. When the world around you feels chaotic and uncertain, it is natural to seek certainty, a fixed point to hold on to. But life, by its very nature, is unpredictable. The winds shift, the tides turn, and we are called to navigate without a clear map. In such moments, meaning becomes your compass. It guides you through the fog of doubt, the storms of fear, and the valleys of sorrow. Meaning is not found in control, but in surrender. Surrender not to defeat, but to acceptance. It is in this acceptance that you find your true strength. Strength to face each day with courage. Strength to love when it feels risky. Strength to hope when despair looms. I have learned that meaning is a verb. It is something you do, not something you find. It is created in the choices you make, the values you uphold, and the love you give. To live with meaning is to live with intention. To embrace each moment as an opportunity to affirm your humanity. Even in suffering, there is opportunity. Opportunity to grow, to connect, to transcend. Your suffering, while painful, can become a doorway to deeper understanding, a doorway to greater compassion, a doorway to a life lived fully. So when you encounter pain, do not turn away. Look it squarely in the eyes. Ask, what is this teaching me? How can I grow from this? In doing so, you transform suffering into meaning, and you become the author of your own life story. It is in the moments when you feel most broken, most lost, that the seeds of transformation are planted. These moments test your spirit, your resolve, and your capacity for hope. But they also hold the greatest potential for growth. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, to acknowledge your pain without judgment, you open a space within yourself where healing can begin. This is not weakness. It is profound strength. I have witnessed this strength in countless individuals who faced unimaginable suffering, yet chose to find meaning and purpose despite it all. They teach us that meaning is not the absence of suffering, but the courage to face it. And in facing it, we discover the depths of our own humanity. You may feel that your pain isolates you, that no one else could understand. But the truth is, suffering is a universal human experience. It connects us. It reminds us of our shared fragility and resilience, and it calls us to empathy, to compassion, and to community. In community, we find support. In connection, we find healing. And in healing, we find the power to move forward. So, as you continue on your journey, remember that you are not alone. You carry within you the strength of countless souls who have walked this path before, and you pave the way for those who will follow. Your life, with all its trials and triumphs, is a testament to the enduring power of meaning. Life's greatest lessons often arrive wrapped in suffering. It is through our pain that we come to know ourselves more deeply, to recognize our strengths and limitations, our fears and hopes. Yet, in the midst of suffering, there is always a choice. You can let the pain define you, or you can let it refine you. This choice is the essence of human freedom, the freedom to find meaning even when all seems lost. I have walked through darkness, and in that darkness, I found light. Not a blinding, overwhelming light, but a gentle glow that guided me step by step. This light is the meaning you seek. It is already within you, waiting to be discovered. When you choose to seek meaning, you choose life. You choose to affirm your existence, your worth, and your purpose. You choose to rise above circumstance and declare that your story matters. This is not a journey without struggle, but it is one filled with profound rewards that cannot be measured by external standards, but only by the depth of your own transformation. So when you face your next challenge, remember that within it lies the opportunity to find meaning, to discover a deeper truth about yourself and the world, and to emerge stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Meaning is not something given. It is something earned through the courage to face life. It is not confined by circumstance nor diminished by suffering. Instead, it expands, reaches deeper, and calls us to live with authenticity and grace. You are invited to embrace this call, to step boldly into the unknown, knowing that meaning will accompany you. It will not shield you from pain, but it will empower you to transcend it. Through meaning, suffering loses its power to destroy, and becomes a catalyst for creation. A creation of a life lived with intention, courage, and love. So, I urge you to look within, to seek the meaning that waits patiently for your discovery, and to hold fast to it, even when the journey feels difficult, because it is in this pursuit that your freedom is found, your purpose is born, and your life is transformed. There is a profound paradox in our search for meaning. Sometimes, the more we chase after it, the more it eludes us. Meaning is not a prize to be captured or a destination to be reached. It is a living presence, emerging from the choices we make moment by moment. I have learned that meaning often comes quietly, through simple acts of love, through the courage to endure, through the willingness to face the unknown with an open heart. It is in the surrender to life's flow, not in the struggle against it, that meaning unfolds. When I found myself in the darkest of places, stripped of everything external, I discovered this truth deep within, that meaning does not come from what we have or achieve, but from how we choose to respond. This realization is the cornerstone of freedom, the freedom to find purpose regardless of circumstance. You may feel trapped by your situation, overwhelmed by pain or loss, unsure of how to move forward. But even in the most constrained conditions, you retain the power to choose your attitude. You retain the power to find meaning. This power is your birthright. It is the essence of your humanity, and it calls you to live boldly, to embrace your vulnerabilities as sources of strength, to see your suffering not as a curse, but as a call to deeper awareness, to recognize that within you lies an unbreakable spirit, a spirit that can transcend any hardship. This is the journey I invite you to embark on, a journey of discovery, resilience, and transformation. You are not defined by your failures or your pain. You are defined by your response, by the meaning you create in the face of adversity, by the love you give despite loss, by the hope you hold even in darkness. This is the legacy of a life lived with meaning. In the quiet moments when the noise of the world fades, you may hear a whisper within, a call to awaken. This whisper is the voice of your true self, inviting you to step beyond the illusions that bind you. It urges you to look beneath the surface of your struggles and discover the enduring flame of meaning that no hardship can extinguish. You may wonder why life has placed certain trials in your path. The answer may not be clear, but the invitation is always present, to find meaning despite uncertainty. This search requires courage, for it asks you to face the unknown without guarantees. But it is also a journey of profound reward. For in choosing meaning, you align yourself with the deepest currents of life itself. You become part of something greater than yourself. Your suffering becomes a testament to human resilience, your story a source of inspiration, and your life a beacon for others seeking their own path. Remember that meaning is found in relationship, not only with others, but with the world and with the sacred. It is in connection that our existence gains depth. In connection, we find purpose. So, I encourage you to nurture your relationships, to engage with your community, and to seek moments of transcendence that remind you of life's sacredness. Through these connections, you will find strength and hope, and you will come to see that your journey with all its trials is part of a grander tapestry. A tapestry woven with threads of love, courage, and meaning. This understanding is not the end, but a new beginning. A beginning filled with possibility and promise. It is often in our darkest hours that the light of meaning shines the brightest. When everything else is stripped away, the roles we play, the possessions we cling to, the identities we craft, we stand bare, face to face with our true selves. In this rawness lies a profound opportunity to choose meaning freely, without distraction or illusion. I have learned that such moments are the crucible of transformation. They test us, but they also reveal the depth of our inner resources. When you embrace this moment fully, you step into your power. You no longer wait for life to be easy or just. You take ownership of your journey, and in doing so, you become the architect of your own meaning. This means that meaning is not fixed or static. It evolves as you evolve. It is shaped by your experiences, your reflections, and your choices, and it is never beyond your reach. No matter how lost you may feel, no matter how heavy your burdens, meaning is always available. It calls to you, inviting you to respond with courage. It beckons you to create a life of significance, grounded not in external circumstances, but in the depth of your own spirit. As you continue this journey, remember to be gentle with yourself. Transformation takes time. Growth is a process, not a destination. Celebrate each step, no matter how small, and hold fast to the knowledge that your life, with all its complexity, matters deeply. When I think about the human capacity to endure, I am struck by its boundlessness. We are creatures capable of withstanding great hardship, of rising from despair with renewed purpose. But this strength is not automatic. It must be cultivated, nurtured by the belief that life holds meaning even in the face of suffering. Meaning is not a mere abstraction. It is a living reality, a force that propels us forward when everything else seems lost. It is the compass that guides us through the wilderness of pain, the light that beckons us home. You may find yourself asking, how do I hold on to this meaning when the weight of the world presses down? The answer lies in the simple yet profound act of choosing. Choosing to find significance in small moments, in acts of kindness, in the pursuit of values that transcend yourself. I have witnessed this choice countless times. Prisoners who, despite unimaginable cruelty, found reasons to hope. Individuals who transformed personal tragedy into a mission to help others. Their stories teach us that meaning is accessible to all, regardless of circumstance. It is found not in what happens to us, but in how we respond. This response is the exercise of our freedom. And freedom is the foundation of human dignity. No matter what has been taken from you, this freedom remains. It is the light that no darkness can extinguish. So when you feel overwhelmed, when despair threatens to consume you, remember this. Within you lies an unshakable core, a freedom that cannot be chained. Reach inside and grasp it. Let it empower you to live fully, to love deeply, and to create meaning from every moment. There is a sacred responsibility in embracing this freedom. It calls you not only to survive, but to thrive, not merely to exist, but to live with purpose. This responsibility is not a burden, but a privilege. A chance to affirm your humanity and contribute to the world. When you accept this call, you begin to see life as a series of opportunities, each one inviting you to choose meaning over despair, hope over fear, love over bitterness. I have seen people transform their suffering into sources of inspiration, their losses into wells of compassion. These transformations do not erase pain, but they reshape it, infusing it with significance. Your journey may be difficult, and the path uncertain, but the potential for growth is infinite. You are capable of rising above circumstance, of turning hardship into triumph, and in doing so, you create a legacy, not measured by accolades or wealth, but by the depth of your love and the courage of your spirit. Remember, meaning is not something you find passively. It is something you actively create. Through the choices you make, the values you live by, and the love you give, you craft a life worth living. So stand tall in the face of adversity, embrace your freedom, and let your life be a testament to the enduring power of meaning. In the tapestry of life, every thread, light and dark, contributes to the whole. We often seek to avoid the darker threads, yet they give depth and contrast to our existence. Without suffering, joy loses its sweetness. Without struggle, triumph loses its meaning. I urge you to see your pain not as a flaw or failure, but as a vital part of your story. It is the place where meaning can take root and grow. Consider the image of a seed buried deep in the earth. Alone in darkness, it might seem lost, yet within it lies the potential for a mighty tree. The seed must endure the weight of the soil, the chill of the night, and the uncertainty of the unknown. Yet it does not resist. It surrenders to the process, trusting that growth will come. So too must we surrender, not in defeat, but in hope. Hope that through our trials, we will emerge stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Each hardship is a call to awaken, to choose meaning over despair, presence over numbness, love over fear. This choice is not always easy. It requires courage to face your pain honestly, to lean into discomfort rather than run from it. But it is in this leaning that transformation happens. Your suffering, when met with meaning, becomes a source of strength, a wellspring from which you draw resilience and wisdom. And in sharing this strength with others, you contribute to a world in need of healing. Your story, with all its complexities, is a gift, a testament to the human spirit's capacity to find meaning amidst chaos. In embracing the fullness of life, including its pain, you step into a profound paradox. The very act of accepting suffering opens the door to freedom. Freedom not from pain itself, but from the chains of resistance and denial. Resistance breeds bitterness and despair, while acceptance fosters clarity and courage. I have learned that acceptance is not submission. It is a radical act of will. It is saying, I acknowledge my pain, but I will not be defined by it. This stance transforms suffering from a prison into a teacher. It invites you to ask, what is this experience calling me to learn? How can it deepen my understanding of myself and others? In doing so, you reclaim agency. You move from victimhood to authorship of your life story. This authorship is the essence of meaning. It is the power to write your narrative with intention, even when the pages seem stained with sorrow. You have the capacity to choose the meaning of your experiences, and in this choice lies your greatest freedom. Remember, no external circumstance can rob you of this power unless you surrender it. Hold fast to it, nurture it, and let it guide you toward a life rich with purpose, connection, and love. When I speak of freedom, I do not mean freedom from suffering, but freedom within suffering. The human spirit has the remarkable capacity to transcend pain, to find meaning even in the bleakest of circumstances. This transcendence is the hallmark of our humanity. It reveals itself when we choose our attitude in the face of hardship, when we refuse to let despair dictate our response. This choice is ours alone. It cannot be taken from us. No matter the chains that bind the body, the mind can remain free. It is in this freedom that we discover our true power, our capacity to endure, to hope, and to love. I have seen this freedom in the eyes of prisoners who, despite unimaginable cruelty, maintain their dignity and sense of purpose. Their stories remind us that the final human freedom is the ability to choose one's attitude. This choice shapes our destiny. It is the foundation of a life lived with meaning. So I invite you now to stand in this freedom, to embrace the power that lies within you, and to live your life not as a victim, but as a victor of meaning. In the vast theater of existence, we are all actors playing roles, written by circumstance, yet empowered by choice. Our scripts may be marked by loss, disappointment, or suffering, but we are not mere puppets of fate. We possess the profound ability to rewrite our narratives, scene by scene, moment by moment. This power to choose meaning amidst chaos is what defines us as human. When I endured the horrors of the concentration camps, I learned that even stripped of everything, I could still choose my response. That choice was my sanctuary, my last refuge of freedom. It is this freedom I urge you to claim. No matter the trials you face, no matter the darkness you endure, your spirit remains unbound. You are invited to live deliberately, to seek purpose in the face of uncertainty, and to find joy even in the shadows. Meaning is not handed to us on a silver platter. It must be sought with courage and persistence. But when found, it transforms life from a mere existence to a masterpiece of resilience and grace. Remember that your life is your message to the world. Make it one worth remembering. Stand tall, face your struggles, and let your pursuit of meaning be your legacy. To conclude this journey, I invite you to embrace a final truth, that the search for meaning is a lifelong endeavor, not a destination to be reached or a trophy to be won. It is a path you walk with intention, vulnerability, and courage. There will be moments when you stumble, when the weight of suffering threatens to overwhelm you. In those moments, remember that each step, no matter how faltering, carries you forward. Meaning is found in the journey itself, in the willingness to confront pain, to seek understanding, and to love without guarantee. It is a flame that flickers within you, sometimes dimmed, but never extinguished. As you continue, be gentle with yourself. Honor your struggles, your growth, and your humanity. Know that you are part of a greater tapestry, woven together by shared experience and common hope. Your life, with all its complexity, matters deeply. And in choosing to live with meaning, you become a light for others, a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity. So walk this path with confidence. with open heart, and with the unshakable belief that you are never truly lost, because the meaning you seek is already within you, waiting to be discovered, embraced, and lived. As I reflect on the essence of our existence, I realize that the greatest freedom we possess is the freedom to choose meaning. This choice transcends circumstance, transcends pain, and even transcends death. It is a freedom that no external force can take away. You may be bound by chains, confined by walls, or burdened by loss, but within you, the capacity to find meaning remains untouched and infinite. This inner sanctuary is where your true self resides, a self that is more than the sum of your suffering, more than your failures or fears. It is the spark of divinity, the breath of spirit, the voice of hope. When you tap into this source, you become unbreakable. Your life becomes a testament to the power of meaning, and in living this truth, you inspire others to do the same. So I invite you now, in this very moment, to stand in your freedom, to embrace your responsibility, to choose meaning no matter what life presents. This choice will not erase hardship. It will not guarantee ease, but it will give your life a depth and richness that transcends circumstance. Meaning is the wellspring from which courage flows, from which love blooms, from which peace emerges. It is the gift you give yourself and the world, and it is always within your reach. The journey toward meaning is not a straight path. It winds through valleys of doubt, climbs peaks of revelation, and sometimes circles back on itself. But each twist and turn brings you closer to your true self. When you encounter obstacles, resist the urge to despair. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn here? How can this moment deepen my understanding? This question opens a doorway to growth and transformation. Through this lens, suffering ceases to be a mere burden. It becomes a teacher guiding you toward wisdom and compassion. I have come to see that meaning is not just a concept, but a lived experience, a dynamic interplay between your inner world and the outer reality. It calls for engagement, for presence, and for courage. You do not have to wait for life to be perfect to find meaning. It is available here now in the midst of imperfection. It asks only that you be willing to face your truth honestly, that you embrace both the light and the shadow within you. For it is through this embrace that healing begins. And through healing, you step into the fullness of your humanity. Your story is unique, filled with struggles and triumphs only you can tell. By choosing to find meaning, you honor that story. You make it a source of strength, not only for yourself, but for others who will walk similar paths. Meaning calls us beyond ourselves, urging us to contribute to something greater, a cause, a community, a love that transcends the self. It is in this giving that our own lives are enriched beyond measure. I have observed that when individuals find purpose beyond personal gain, they tap into a wellspring of resilience and joy. This outward focus anchors us, providing stability amidst life's storms. You may wonder, how do I find this purpose? How do I connect to something beyond my own pain? The answer is not found in searching the world, but in looking inward, in cultivating awareness of what stirs your soul, what breaks your heart and lights your fire. These feelings point toward your unique contribution. They are signposts guiding you to your mission. Listening to this inner voice requires courage and honesty. It demands that you face not only your hopes, but also your fears and doubts. But it also opens the door to a life lived with authenticity and passion. When you align your actions with this inner purpose, you become a force for good. Your struggles become stepping stones, your pain a catalyst for growth, and your life a beacon of hope. It is important to remember that meaning often reveals itself not in grand gestures, but in the small, quiet moments. A kind word, a shared smile, a moment of presence. These are the threads that weave a tapestry of significance. When you begin to notice these moments, your perspective shifts. You see life's ordinary experiences with new eyes, recognizing the sacred in the mundane. This awareness nourishes your soul and strengthens your resolve. It reminds you that meaning is not distant or elusive. It is here, woven into the fabric of your daily life. Moreover, meaning calls us to responsibility, not as a burden, but as an invitation to engage fully with life, to take ownership of your choices, to stand for something beyond yourself. In doing so, you affirm your humanity and participate in the ongoing creation of the world. This responsibility empowers you. It gives you agency and direction. No longer a passive observer, you become an active participant in your own story. And as you do, you inspire those around you to seek their own meaning. This ripple effect creates a network of resilience and hope, a community bound not by circumstance but by shared purpose. As we journey deeper into the essence of meaning, it becomes clear that life's greatest gift is the freedom to choose our response. This choice is never taken from us, even in the face of unbearable pain or loss. It is the cornerstone of our humanity, the space where we find our true selves. And in moments when despair threatens to engulf you, remember this: you are not your suffering. You are the consciousness that observes it. You are the spirit that rises beyond it. This awareness is transformative. It shifts your relationship with pain from victimhood to authorship. It allows you to write a new chapter, one imbued with courage, grace, and purpose. Each day it presents a new opportunity to affirm this freedom, to live intentionally, to seek meaning not as a distant ideal, but as a lived reality. Meaning flourishes when we embrace responsibility, not as a weight, but as a gift. Responsibility to ourselves, to others, and to the world. This responsibility anchors us, providing direction and clarity amid life's chaos. It calls us to act with integrity, to love deeply, and to serve humbly. In this service, we find fulfillment beyond ourselves. We connect to a greater whole, a tapestry of humanity woven with threads of compassion, resilience, and hope. So when you face uncertainty, fear, or loss, lean into this truth. Your life matters. Your choices matter. Your search for meaning matters. No matter where you are on your journey, remember that you carry within you an indomitable spirit, a light that cannot be extinguished, a freedom that no circumstance can take away. Hold fast to this light. Let it guide you through the darkest nights. And when dawn comes, rise anew, stronger, wiser, and filled with purpose.